It's about time to do a little math. Okay, close those up. I'll show you something.
Wait. Don't you talk back.
Okay, so let's put this in a little context here. What we want to be able to do today, here's our plan. Let's warm up a little bit. So go ahead and solve this equation for me while I take roll real quick. Let's do, that's a 7. Okay, do that. And then when you're done with that, do this. There's 1. You're done with that one, I want you to solve this one. Number 2, huh? Called it, yeah.
How do you make videos? Like, where do you record?
He just turns it on.
Just, yep,
YouTube's it. You're a
just
YouTuber.
technical wizardry.
Do you get paid?
No, I should get paid for this, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, then solve that one. And then solve this one.
I know. Yeah.
Go.
Oh, I put it in like.
Okay, let's talk about these. Even if you didn't quite finish all the way, maybe we can finish this group. So let's talk strategies at least. What's this first one? What are you gonna do to solve this one? Okay, good. And what's your strategy here?
Solve for X.
Isolate X. How come? You're right.
Solve for it.
Good, well, okay, but what's different between examples 1 and 2?
There's only
Good. There's only a single X in the first one.
I didn't notice.
And what do we say? If we can point to a single X, we can isolate it, right? Okay, so then you guys are good at this. The steps you'd go through to isolate X, first you would
Subtract 7.
subtract 7.
Divide by 2.
So then I'm gonna get 2 times the quantity X minus 3 squared equals 32, divide by 2, right? So then I get X minus 3 squared equals 16. Now what? Square root both sides, so that's gonna give me X minus 3 equals, no,
plus or minus.
plus or minus 4. And then where does the 3 go?
In front.
In front, so we'll add, whoops, not 4, we'll add 3 to both sides, right? And then, so my answers are either X equals 7 or -1, right? Okay. Okay, good, no big deal. We can isolate X there. Okay, so what about this guy? What? What?
Never mind.
This time I cannot isolate X. What's the only way we know how to do this?
No, add 22.
Convert it to factored form, right? You gotta convert it to factored form, you gotta break it apart, right? So does this break apart?
Yes, sir.
If it does, A is equal to 1, so X's go there, right? Can we find magic numbers that multiply to -22 and add to negative?
Negative 11, or minus 11 plus 2.
Okay, -11 and plus 2, and then by the zero product property, what are our solutions?
11, negative 2.
Good, okay. So what about number 3? Okay, we can't isolate X, right? Are there numbers that multiply to 4 and add to 8? So we're stuck, right? We're stuck with that one.
NA.
So that's the kind, and they're actually, for now, NA, but in about 2 days, it's no longer gonna be NA. Because we wanna add some strategies for dealing with problems like this. We're gonna add 2 good strategies for this, okay? The first one is called completing the square, and what it is, it's a really clever way to do this. What we would do with this one is we would try to somehow turn this expression right here in the orange bubble, we'd want to be able to rewrite it in a way that looks like that, so we can isolate x. Okay, that would be our goal, okay? To get there, so we're going to build towards that. It's not hard, but I want to make sure that we have all the foundational skills we need to do this, right? And so today we're going to work on that. So first thing I want to do today is I want to, all right, what happened to my, there, I went the wrong direction. Okay, so this guy, I want to start with this. If I wanted to multiply this out, how would I do it? Why? How would you do that?
Gotta make 2 different ones.
Okay, good. So one reliable way to do this is whenever something is squared, it's just multiplied by itself, right? And then we could just distribute and get our answer, right? We could distribute the x, and what's that going to give us? X squared plus 3x the first time, right? Then I'll distribute the 3, and I'm going to get what? And so those combine into a 6x, don't they, right? So we end up with x squared plus 6x plus 9. That's not hard to do, okay? But what we want to do today, what's a little harder to do, slightly harder to do, is if you, it's not even that much harder. What if I had a number in front of the x that I wanted to expand out? Then I get a little bit bigger numbers there, right? And it's slightly harder to do. So it's not like this is a huge benefit, but it's something we have to learn to do, and I'm about to remind you about, because I've actually showed this to you before. But it's something we have to be able to do in order to orchestrate our great trick, right? To be able to turn a kind of problem like this that we currently cannot solve into one like this that we can. You have to use this pattern. So you might as well learn to use it anyway, because it is a slight advantage. So we could do this. We could use the pattern a plus b squared equals what? Do you remember? I did show this to you, but it's been a while and we had never really used it that much.
Oh, a squared plus 2ab
There you go.
equal, or plus b squared.
Plus b squared. Okay, so there's a pattern. How many people have used that, or like Aspen, you've used it. Anybody else use that pattern instead of expanding out? Few people, not many. It is easier. So here's one fringe benefit of using this pattern, is that it is easier to do. Like if we wanted to expand out x plus 3 squared, and we can just remember this pattern, all we have to do is say, okay, in this expression up here, what is our a equal to?
1x.
X, right, good. So a is equal to x, and b is equal to 3, and then I just plug into that answer, and I'm done in one step. So it is useful, right? I'm not going to say it's like some major earth-shattering development that's going to just change your lives forever. I don't think it, I mean, it's possible. I don't think so. So a squared would become what then?
X squared.
X squared, right? Plus 2ab. Well, what's 2ab? That's 2 times x times 3, right? So that's just a, would you agree all that stuff just becomes 6x? And you could do it in your head. It's not hard, right? You're just multiplying 2 numbers in a variable, right? And then b squared, 3 squared is 9. So look, we can get there in one step, right? It's not a big deal. And we can do bigger binomials that are harder to do otherwise. Like what if we did something like 3x plus 2 squared? And still not hard to do. What is going to be, what's my a this time? 3x, right? So a squared is going to become 9x squared. Good, we gotta square out 3x, because it's the whole thing. It's not just the x, it's the 3x is all being squared. That's my a squared. Plus 2ab, well, that's 2 times 3x times 2, right? Plus b squared is just 2 squared. That's easy. So what does that become? You already told me. 9x squared, because 3x times 3x is 9x squared, plus 2 times 3 times 2 is 12, and then I got an x. Good. And then plus 4. Easy, right? No big deal. Okay, so what about one like this then? Let's try a different one. What if we got, how about x minus 7 squared? Same pattern. What's my a this time?
1x.
X. What's my b? Negative 7, right? It's negative 7. So then we could write this as a squared would be x squared, right? Plus 2 times a times b plus b squared, right? So what's that going to simplify to? X squared minus 14x plus 49. Right? Okay, no big deal. We can, if we want to, we could write a separate pattern for the negative ones, right? But I don't think you have to, right? Like if we were to use, let's do the same problem real quick using the green pattern instead of the yellow pattern. I don't ever use the green pattern. I always just use the yellow pattern. But what if we did x minus 7 squared using the green pattern? What's my a and what's my b?
X and negative.
My b in this case would just be positive 7 though, right? Because this is the pattern a minus b and this is x minus 7.
Oh, so it's going to make it positive.
It's going to give me the same answer, right? Because if I use this green pattern, I get x squared minus 2 times x times 7 plus positive 7 squared is the same thing as negative 7 squared. It's 49, right? See what I'm saying? To me, I just wouldn't even probably mess with that one, but I'm going to give it to you just because you see it in so many books. But really, all this green pattern is we're saying, okay, what if b is negative instead, right? Then what's that going to do? If b is negative, then it's not going to change this term because a negative squared and a positive squared give you the same answer, but the middle term would just become negative because b is negative, right? See what I'm saying? Okay, so practice this a little bit. So let's try this one on your own here. So let's do 2x minus 5 squared. I don't care which pattern you use.
I'm going to use the one with the negative because then I don't have to deal with negative.
Okay?
If that makes any sense. Wait, do you still... No, never mind. I don't know, can you?
Okay, let's use the negative pattern. See if you, without looking, can remember what that is. What's A minus B quantity squared?
I wrote it down, but
A squared minus 2AB
I think I got the right answer.
plus B squared. Okay, so what's that gonna give us down here? What's A squared gonna be?
2x squared.
No.
Oh,
Okay, it's gonna be the quantity 2x squared, which turns out to be 4x squared, right? Because I have to square out the whole thing, right? Which gives me a 4x squared. Okay.
yeah.
Minus 2 times
X
2
squared.
times 5.
Oh, 10?
Negative 20. Good.
Oh, that's
Right.
what I got.
So I get negative 2 times 2 times 5 is 20x, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then plus 25.
Plus 25.
I actually did 2 times 2 and then 4 times 5 to get my negative 20x.
That's fine. Same thing. Yeah, you have to multiply in pairs, don't you? Right? Okay, so real quick, open up your Chromebooks, jump into the newest assignment. I think it's 4.4 practice.
Is this all the
one.
assignment is?
What's that?
Is this all this?
Yeah, I did. I just want you to at least do as many as you can, but as soon as it looks like most people are through at least half, we'll move on to some new stuff.
Why does it always say it's a quiz?
Say what?
Why does it always say it's a quiz?
That's just what Moodle calls it. I don't know why. Kind of silly.